All right. Welcome back. We are back.
Clarify.
Get clarified.
I just can't think of I think of clarified butter. I don't know. It's like not that much of a diss.
Dude, it's so
clarified
clear
butter
here.
is so good.
I don't even know what that means.
Wow, what are we even saying?
I don't know
This is
nothing
all
about
trash.
butter. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And we're back.
We're back.
Final episode of Chapter 1, Willing.
Yeah,
Here we are.
chapter 1 of the record. Willing.
Yeah.
Big behemoth.
Beast of a
It's
song.
beast of a
It is the
boy.
beastiest boy that we got on this album.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah.
It feels that way.
Truly. Well,
I mean, Echoes is a beast in its own way. Everyone's a beast in their own ways, right?
but this is a
this
massive
conceptually,
beast.
it's a ride. It's quite the ride.
Truly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I do like this backstory. There's a few things that tie into this, which I think are interesting.
Cassidy's History Corner, here we are.
Yeah, Cassidy's History Corner. Ha ha ha. So, the first notable thing about this song to me, when I think about where I was at and when I was writing it, is that I was absolutely in love with, for many reasons that I won't get into, this Miles Davis recording. It never entered my mind off of I think it's the Quintet album. Red Garland's playing piano.
And this was from the beginning.
Yeah.
This is from like way before
This is just
you even brought it to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
brought it
I
before.
I had such an emotional connection with that song.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it so much at the time. I think I tried to transcribe it and didn't get very far because I had little baby ears at the time. But
I have little baby ears.
yeah, I realized that I had these chords that I liked. I kept on coming back to them. I was like, I need to make something out of this. And then it dawned on me that the chordal movement was pretty similar to the opening chords of It Never Entered My Mind.
Right.
And then I was just like, artists can steal anything. The opening line of this song, I changed it to It Never Occurred. And then I was like on a roll. And then the song kind of wrote itself in like a day, I'm pretty sure. So I always wanted to go back and pay homage to where it came from. I feel like we do a lot of that. I've mentioned Hiatus Coyote and I'm like, I want you to know that if I sound like
This
you,
is technically
I'm
your
trying to like
first
tribute,
full-length
you know?
record.
Oh yeah. I have to, I'm influenced and I want to pay homage and give respect where respect is due, whatever. So we'll kind of touch more on that later. But that really was the beginning of how this song originated. Is I made that harmonic connection and then I kind of altered my opening lyric as a, almost quote to It Never Entered My Mind. And then the song kind of wrote itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always knew that I wanted to somehow take that a step further and even dive further into like the harmony of the Miles Davis track and incorporate it somehow. But we ended up going like so far with it.
So deep.
So far, so deep. But
We'll definitely, when we get into the formal pathway, we'll talk about
there.
like the intro.
Yeah, I can leave that there for now. And then I would say just in regards to the emotional origin for this song, I was so desperate at the time to write like a love song. It was like, I'm in this relationship and the only two songs that I've written about this person are Echoes and Candle, which are, yes, about him, inspired by him, but it wasn't like nothing about those songs reads I love you and like we're so in love. And
and this one totally does.
Well, it does.
Yeah.
You can read it down from
That's
start
true.
to finish. And I did that on purpose because I'm an asshole.
Right. I think musically it is more, I guess, what I mentioned as far as like juxtaposing that, which, is part of the point.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about the lyrics. But yeah, if one read them cold, no musical context, love song for sure. So I was being sneaky. Like, this is full denial. This is more denial than we ever have experienced thus far because we're aware and then we're just rejecting growth and the path of okay, let's continue down and learn to make things get better. This is just like, nope, I'm gonna live in La La Land, which we actually hinted to at the end of Candle, this idea of my game of make believe. Like, this is the game of make believe. So it's just that with a little hint of what was really going on.
Yeah, under the surface.
Yeah, because I wanted it so bad. I wanted to have someone that I could like write like a love song about. But there was that small part of me. We also talked about that in Candle. Like once you know something and the glass is shattered, you can't unsee, you can't unknow. So of course there was a part of me that knew that I was doing that on purpose, and that it really wasn't that we were in love and super, super happy.
Right.
So there's this one moment in the chorus that hints to what's really going on, but everything else is this full commitment to fantasy world.
Full commitment and delusion. Yeah, that's the narrative.
I didn't even read that yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Full commitment to delusion, safety, comfort.
False sense of comfort. But it's there.
Totally.
Or like uninformed or something. Yeah.
We love self-sabotage in this song. So, to just further explain the lyrics, like they explore bits and pieces of the truth, you know, like for example, I say, you know, you've been right next to me this whole time. Yeah, we went to school together. Like you're in my band, but I'm trying to say it in a way of like, you've been here all along.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So a lot of these statements have kind of double meaning to them, but I'm drawing them all from like a real place to further support my psychotic behavior, you know? And then the lyrics going into the, like the pre-chorus and chorus, which end up kind of being almost the same section, is I think I should let you in, bold, unafraid, with a heart unhinged. You know, which is totally contrary to what we just said. Uncovered and open, I could never be. This is like, I want to be that thing.
However, I should though. It's like a little bit like,
I think I should.
Yeah.
And the chorus line is actually, and willing to face what may come. There's that thing. Like it could be, face whatever life throws at us, whatever may come. Or in my mind, you know, I want to do this thing despite the fact that I still think we're going to break up.
And it's interesting that even the language is like willing to face what may come.
Exactly. Because
it's like
I hope we don't.
You could have said willing to face what will come, like what is going to come. You know what I mean? It's like, well, like some of the things that are coming, I might be willing to face. Like it is linguistically like a little hesitant still, secretively.
I'm psycho. No one's going to want to date me.
This is years ago.
I know.
We grow.
I know. That's so funny. So musically, I would say I wanted to achieve this kind of fantasy land quality.
I think I was thinking like a lot of... Did I talk about Alice in Wonderland at all? I feel like I was thinking Alice in Wonderland a lot with this.
You did, but I don't think that we actually...
It wasn't like explicit. It was just like kind of that vibe.
We spoke about it after the song was made so.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe you were just kind of thinking using that as a touchstone, but I didn't really know. But that's totally it. I mean, this song should feel like you're in a completely different space. You're in La La Land. You're in make-believe world. You're pretend, you know, this is not reality. Like... by pure decision making, we are deciding to go somewhere else. Almost forcing it. We are willing to go somewhere, whatever. But so the duality is pretty on the nose, I would say, but it's just fantasy versus reality for all the reasons that we stated above. It's like, I just want to pretend, I want to get out of here. I don't like reality. I am denying reality. So the duality is pretty on the nose, but it's exactly what it needs to be. It's fantasy versus reality. You know, we've come from Candle, where we're kind of in this place of we're becoming aware of the reality of the situation. And
almost becoming aware of like what's the fantasy we could potentially go to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like we've learned about the character codependency far off in another land. We know that battle is there, and this is just like, you know, you're just like, I can't handle it. It's too much. That overwhelmed feeling that we got from Candle is totally just driving us to reject everything that we just learned. And I don't know, it's almost like a bender. It's like a denial bender, this song, and then it catches up at the end.
Like I almost think as like the intro is like very grounded and real feeling. It's like kind of like it's like reality, and then immediately just like that string note will hold us over, and then it's like we're entering fantasy world, you know, and then like the song exists in this fantasy place, and then the outro is like rips us back into being like, are we being ripped back into reality here, and that's the weight of it, or are we going deeper into this twisted world that is the fantasy at the end? I think there's a question mark there. That's actually
there's
important.
not
For you.
No, it's absolutely not a question mark.
Gotcha.
It falls apart. That was the whole driving factor of the way that we composed this outro, which we'll talk about later. So it is supposed to be the crumbling of fantasy, and then you just get smacked in the face at the start of chapter 2 with some real shit.
I think I'm more speaking to like, if like an audience perception you could probably pull it into these places, but yes, from a construction perspective for us, I think it was very much about like getting more just like cacophonously kind of like, like not diluted, the opposite of that. It's like getting more congealed and more dense over time.
Lost in the madness. It's like you're going mad because you've been in the Wonderland.
Yeah. I think when I think about the reality, it's like the weight of it.
Gotcha.
The weight of it is like I think it's because it's a duality. We've talked about all these as dualities. It's a constant dichotomy of the two things at odds, you know, and I think we feel that.
Totally. Yeah, so this one was a beast when we did onboarding. This was insane.
That's right. This one was in rough shape, wasn't it?
Oh my God, was it in rough shape?
Yeah.
It was in rough shape, but I think what made it tricky is I wasn't totally ready to just like start over the way that I was with Moonlight. We'll talk about that. Like rough shape, but I'm like, let's go back to the drawing board. Yeah. This was nearly all the way back to the drawing board, but kind of in a different way. I mean, this might be the only song where we didn't keep any part of the recording that I brought to you.
Like any of the pieces.
Yeah, because we slowed it down.
Yeah, I think there's one thing. There's a synth in the second verse later on, right here. Yeah, that little pad, whatever that is, just one track.
Yeah.
I think that was the only thing that made it.
Yeah.
Right, we did bass, we did everything. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think what was challenging about it is that we kind of like held on to things, and then we were like, actually, we do need to let that go. Held on to things. Ooh, we do need to let that go, rather than just like deciding to. So yeah, over time we shedded a lot. Yeah. Kind of.
I think cutting room floor stuff is, you know, getting things onto the cutting room floor is part of, I think, the art of being a creative in any medium. It's like knowing what shouldn't be present.
Right.
And what's thwarting your ideas and over encumbering the experiencer of the art.
Right.
Art, whatever it may be.
Right. Do you know it was not easy to let go of though? That old outro.
Really?
Don't you remember that?
Oh yeah. It has a groove to it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it just didn't fit. It didn't fit.
You say it was not hard to let go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other things were like, should we not?
No, that one, that one's like, that doesn't quite make sense for what we need to say.
Yeah. I might attach that like separately for them to listen to if they wanted to. Okay. That could be kind of fun.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. A lot of it felt forced, I would say. Like,
yeah, the ending, just like the very end, it had this like, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
It was like this like jazz combo or like band that's like, all right, how are we gonna end this? Okay, damn, okay, good. And then it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, didn't seem super, as intentional as we needed it to be.
Same with that older tempo though too. Like the lyrics, lyrics felt forced. Everything felt
smushed. I'm such a stickler about this shit. Things being the right tempo. Yeah. To make sure the words can actually be said and heard and understood. And also I think grooves can settle, So yeah, this one, we slowed the whole thing down. It's another reason why we had to start over with it. Mm-hmm. That one track I kept, I time warped it to slow it down so it would fit.
Yeah, a lot of the original recording just didn't fit my personality or just like what I was going for. This was one in particular where I had some intuition for sure about what I wanted it to be, but not enough to articulate it. So in an artist-producer setting, that's a tricky spot to be in, especially as someone who's maybe not so confident. And it's like, we've touched on this already, but it's like, if I'm hiring you because I trust you and you know more than me, if I don't seem to have strong opinions, it's really easy for that dynamic to switch and then the producer just take the leader role. However, if that producer like isn't as careful as they might need to be, they might be superimposing their voice into the song rather than really, really being like, okay, how can I pull out of this artist what seems to be in there, even though they can't really articulate it to me right now, you know? And it was kind of half and half, because there is a certain part of me that like, I wanted to pay homage to that Miles Davis somehow. But then when it got to actually doing it, I didn't know the way that I wanted to incorporate that. So then that was an easily passable idea. Let's just move on to something else then. Like, let's just do it this way then. And let's do it more like my way. And you don't even sometimes realize in those moments that you're like sacrificing so much, which could be the essence of the song. Like, I would say the essence of this song is like so much of that intro, the whole outro was that idea of, I want to pay homage, like something so simple like that. But you heard that and then you're able to be like, well, then let's follow it. Yeah, like, let's go.
It's like being a detective, though. It's like being a creative detective, being like, okay, Cassidy, answer this question, answer this question, answer this question. How do you feel about this? What do you want to do this? What if we did this? What if we did that? What if we did this? Right? And it's like process of elimination. It's like, no, yes, maybe, I like this. This is what I'm going to think about this. And that's how we get to this place where you're like, I didn't even know at first. You're like, I have an intro to this. There's always been an intro, right? Or is this, am I thinking of something different? Where did this intro come from? Was this something that you revisited after you're like, I wanted to pay homage to this for the intro? Because I know the outro was that. I'm just forgetting that detail.
I kind of don't remember.
For some reason, I'm remembering the intro is something that existed.
No.
It did not exist.
I knew I just knew that I wanted to do that somehow. And we didn't like the idea of it just starting immediately with that Rhodes line.
Yes.
And then we get to the end of the song, and then I'm like, maybe it should be here. I'm not truly remembering. It was either one or the other. Yeah. But then we totally expanded on them both ways, which is kind of cool.
When it comes to that relationship and getting what you want out of it, you know, this is a good example of a song that was going in a direction that was very different for you. And through my onboarding process of asking these questions and seeing about what sounds alike things and what songs do you want it to sound like and what feelings do you want it to have, and, you know, what are your goals and what is the, you know, what should exist in it, and so on and so forth. And that combined with the tempo change, like there's all this pre-production process, this conceptualization. It's like storyboarding or something, you know, in a way. It's like, let's think about, let's use this opportunity to define the certain things and come to realizations, so that way as we create, we're following a guide, we're following a specific pathway that we've determined makes the most sense. So it's a big step, and I don't know if I may have talked about this in the intro episode, I can't remember, but you know, just that onboarding process and that first step, phase one, is like, it's essential. And I'd like to think it's why you feel like these songs are still connected to you. Right. And sure, there are, you know, plenty of things on this record that, you know, are very me, but that's just the nature of collaboration. It shouldn't become largely my thing. Right.
Well,
it should be like,
to be said.
I've got a couple string arrangements that I did completely by myself.
Yeah.
Right. And you can hear that kind of, right. Yeah. But that's the byproduct, right? It's just the byproduct of how things go. But at the end of the day, we're fully realizing your creative vision.
Yeah. I will say, I think there's something to fundamental compatibility.
Sure.
Also.
Stylistically, you know, yeah.
Like, there's a reason that I wanted to work with you, and then there's a reason that we are so agreeable. Like, we do have stuff in common.
Yeah, you think about famous producer artist relationships, like, you know, Quincy Jones and the artists that he's working with, like Michael Jackson and like other people, you know, and even like rock producers and rock bands, or Tom York and freaking Nigel Godrich, I think his name is. I can't believe I'm forgetting that right now. I'm just spaced out. But like, they always go back to these same people, or like Beatles and George Martin. That's a great example, right? It's like always the same. I think I feel like in a past episode I talked about like Quentin Tarantino and the artists he always used, or like Wes Anderson. I think I was trying to remember Wes Anderson's name in an episode. I forgot that. He's another example of like using a lot of the same people, right? And Christopher Nolan, I was just like watching some interviews with him. He uses a lot of the same people, because like when you find out that like Like he was talking about Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer, and he's been in all these movies, but he's like, I need somebody to do this and that and that. I know exactly the person who can do it. And he called up Cillian Murphy and was just like, can you do this? And you can't see the script yet, but I need you to do this thing. And just because Cillian Murphy and Christopher Nolan had been working with each other for 20 years, and then that was how that, like, you know, that creative thing flourished. It's just instant trust. And he's like, yep, I'm your guy. Like, and then he just showed up and was like signed up for it without seeing the script yet. Like that creative relationship you see in a lot of successful art, I feel like is like identifying that creative relationship and reaping the benefits of what you gain from that trust specifically. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So, absolutely.
Shall we dig in?
I think we shall dig into the formal pathway.
The formal pathway.
Dig our formal pathway.
Yeah. So we start with piano.
Quite.
We start with piano, and
technically we start with a little string swell moment.
Yeah.
And then it gets into the piano, right? There's the strings being like, hey, I'm here. And then they go away.
Right.
And then it's just piano, almost like center stage, just like,
right.
What's going on there?
We could superimpose some extra meaning to that. I just had a little brain blast.
Sure.
Acoustic piano does happen throughout. However, Rhodes is kind of more of the main key part in the beef of the song.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is that we have bookended this, you know, the songy song part of this beast with acoustic piano. So it's almost like straight away we're conveying this duality, right? We have acoustic piano that's kind of, it's going in a sequence. It's a part and it's moving in major thirds, which if you're aware of some music theory, major third, major third, major third stacked on top is this like augmented sound, which is kind of crazy. Very open, very like it could go on forever and ever. It's kind of ominous. It's cyclical. It's like, is it a trap or do I kind of like, I don't know. You know, so we have this harmony and it's moving in that way, which comes back later when our fantasy falls apart. So one could argue in the beginning when we're kind of, okay, we have this piano thing, but it's moving, it's curious, it's kind of odd. It's like we're in reality and maybe we're stepping intentionally, like we are in the song, into Fantasyland.
Yes. Yeah, gradually. Just like that door is like, oh, there it is.
Totally.
I think this is kind of what I was saying actually about the ending being reality coming back.
Yeah.
The fantasy is breaking down because reality is trying to creep back in. It's fighting against it. I think that's what I was trying to say earlier.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. Again, we're discovering as we go, but I love it. And that string is maybe just like a little siren. It's like, come here. I'm from Fantasyland.
Common tone?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm from Fantasyland. And then we have gateway. Just piano. And then it's like, yeah, we're going to go down this path. We want to get the heck out of this terrible reality.
Oh, yeah.
How much sense does that make?
I know.
So much sense.
It's great.
Gosh.
Do we want to listen to that?
Yeah.
Just the pitch? The single pitch and the transition?
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe the last phrase?
Yeah.
Right, so that F bridges the gap.
We're walking in fantasy world. It's like Coraline.
I still haven't seen Coraline.
Dude.
I know.
That moment where the string is going is the tunnel from like real world.
See, I think of Alice in Wonderland too.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's totally a tunnel.
Yeah, it's that vibe.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. What I remember this distinctly though about the intro going into the verse. I think when I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this, you're like, okay, then like let's use this material, whatever. You were the one who was like, ooh, but what if it didn't start in the same key of the song? That little piano phrase that moves down the major thirds, that's how we got the major third idea.
At the end?
Like, no, right here.
At the beginning? Oh, yes, if the song started.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does start, and then we kind of...
I had to work backwards to be like, can we get away from it so we can come back to it?
And then you know what? It must have been that this intro came first because we elongated it by coming up with the discovery of, okay, it needs to be in a different key. And then I realized later on we could keep it going one more, and then we'd be on this endless cycle of descending major thirds.
Which, right, the major third kind of allows for this,
crazy.
Like really interesting kind of sense of tension.
Yeah. So originally I didn't compose that piano and string intro. Well, piano came first, so I'm just going to say piano. Originally that was composed in a different key, and thank God for MIDI, we just went and then kind of figured out how to make it work, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
And I love that the strings that are on top of the acoustic piano, it's all foreshadowing melodic material from later on in the song.
Yes.
And nothing ever really finishes it. It just, pieces of melody are dropped and then another piece of melody comes in. It's so sweet. So you're super primed to hear it in such a different way later on. Yeah,
it's funny because like compositionally, again, we keep referencing the outro because it's such an important correlation to this prelude, which we'll get to it more in depth. But when I told you to work on that outro and really dig into it, I still wasn't really internalizing what was possible. Like, it wasn't for a bit that I started to really listen to the outro and be like, this is just a rhapsody on, again, the same material from everything else. It's all the same melodies, like, and there's different melodies from different parts of the song. Like, it's all there. And again, to kind of keep going on that, pull from what you can.
Yeah.
To solve problems. We need an intro, we need to get into this environment, and bring the listener on a really, like, tell us a pretty serious story. For this song.
Yeah, I would say if someone was like, name your top 3 compositional lessons learned from working on this project, it's use what's already there.
That's great.
You told that to me in I think it was like my second, we'll talk about this in Bird in a Cage. But it was like my second lesson, but it was the first lesson where I had brought you material.
Right.
So in a way, it was like the first time that we were really getting into the meat of things, and that was the lesson. So we'll talk about that later. But I mean, you'll find it over and over again that's kind of something that comes up, and it never gets old.
Which part?
Just like, of course you should foreshadow the melody that happens later. Of course you should take this thing that happened and like present it in a new way.
Again, talking about Christopher Nolan, this interview I just watched with him, with Stephen Colbert, you should go check it out. He talks about this idea of like, in Oppenheimer, they use black and white film. They go back and forth between black and white and color. And Stephen Colbert was like, he's like, I didn't even notice it at first. And Christopher Nolan was like, that's good. That's like, it's like they were talking about this concept of like, Christopher Nolan basically was like, you want people to not think about that they're that they're watching a movie.
Yeah.
Like, how do you change formats and gain the emotional benefits from black and white and the emotional benefits from color, but try to do it in a way where the listener doesn't know.
Right.
And how much can you affect them if they are emotionally affected by those two different styles and didn't actually know why? So like just this sentiment of like smoothing out your concepts and stretching out when they come in and imbuing them and hinting at them so you're building them slowly, I feel like keeps people invested. So you're not just suddenly blasting them with a new thing. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm listening to music. I need to learn that thing that I'm just hearing right now. As opposed to like, I'm just taking that in because I was already ready to take it in because it was kind of hinted at in a way that I didn't fully realize.
Right.
And I think it's such a potent like an analogy for why that's important,
Yeah. Another thing that kind of sticks out to me, just again about the harmony of this section, is we have this super, super classical sounding idea.
Yeah, super at the beginning, very romantic era.
It's interesting because it was inspired by a jazz piano player, but I love this because it really is a blending together of like where I came from, why I am the way I am, whatever. But fundamentally we have like some weird stuff going on with the major third descending thing. Actually, I don't know if this changes keys at all. I think we just wrote it. I just wrote it in a thing and then we brought it down so that we could have that F be the last chord.
Yes.
So this just doesn't match the chorus, which this is kind of like extrapolated on. However, we end in this very like cadential jazz trope of a 2-5-1. Can you play that for people who don't know? It's the Sunday morning Maroon 5. is. And we don't ever resolve to one. Actually, yes, we do.
Yeah, well,
here we go.
You don't feel it in that voice, that voicing, in that register, but you get that resolution.
2, 5, 1, all over the place. Yeah, which I try to avoid for sure in writing, but for some reason it felt right. And I think it's fun to just think about, like, yes, in so many different ways.
Just like last episode, it's a colloquialism, it's a cliche that you're using in the context of like a romantic thing, and then it's changing texture in the keys there, and then there's a common tone. It's like there's enough.
Totally.
And you also open up the voicings a bit and have some other stuff happening there.
Right.
Which is nice. Make it denser.
Yeah. Yeah, but that does bring us to our kind of like formal intro. Yes,
the major 7 to the minor kind of fantasy thing. Very cool. Mm-hmm. Do you want to? I guess that you can hear it pretty clearly in the actual roads, because it's the only thing there, right? It's like, right? Let me get rid of the common tone for a second, and you can even just hear it without that, like. Right, we hear this groundedness in this chord, and this kind of inquisitiveness in that chord. And it's just always back and forth between that. And even when we get, which later we'll get to this, but you know, it comes back in a way that's later it comes back in that way too. The same sounds. Right, that's technically kind of the same chord changes, so it's like it's very important, just like always back and forth thing that we're going to be experiencing, and we immediately establish it. First 2 chords,
right
there it is.
Yeah, and it feels like a fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, no, come here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not sure which way we want to be, which way we're being pulled, or which way we want to be pulled, or which side, reality, fantasy, which one do we want to exist in?
Yeah, but I love that it's just the roads and the violin. Mm-hmm. That kind of take hold of this section, because
high register too, after the luscious low string thing in the piano. Mm-hmm.
It further evokes some curiosity to me. It's like, what is going to happen?
The thinness of that texture, I think.
This was a huge change, but there's not enough going on, so it could go anywhere.
A lot of anticipation. I think that the F major flat 9 sound of that second chord, every other chord, it really kind of creates that forward momentum.
Mm-hmm. And then the vocals enter.
Mm-hmm. With nothing else changing. Right. It's just the vocals enter on top of everything that we've experienced. So really slow moving familiarity as regards to sound. It's just like, here's something that's like very repetitive, and then here's one more thing, and it's a vocal, so you're ready for it, and you probably saw it coming. So like familiarity is like hardcore, like high in the familiarity level of the sound spectrum.
Yeah.
Which I think is also in response to the beginning, which is somewhat deceptive, like a decent amount of time with just strings, and they're doing the thirds relationship and everything.
So isn't it interesting that up until this point, the part that's supposed to represent reality is the least familiar, and the part that's now supposed to represent this fantasy land, we are fully committed to fantasy land. We are trying so hard to make fantasy land be the right thing.
Yeah, I think that's why I think of Alice in Wonderland, because it's just like that fantastical environment is like, it's like, yes, come in. Yes. Look at how inviting I am.
It's when Other Mother and Other Father and Coraline look like better versions of her parents.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out.
You have to.
I know.
It's so good. I'll tell you more
Chloe's
about Coraline
listening
later.
To this and being like, what? Another thing you haven't seen?
Yeah.
Now we're gonna have to see it. I have to see it.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah. So full commitment to Fantasyland.
Yeah, and then the line that the vocal comes in on, that it says immediately, it never occurred, and then it never occurred to me. They mean different things, right? Like, it never occurred is a sentence. It's a full sentence, right?
It never happened.
It never happened, right? But then it never occurred to me. It means something completely different.
It's like, what?
It's not talking about it. Well, I mean, it's not even talking about event. Like, it's like, oh, it never occurred to me that. Usually that it's like a colloquialism for like, oh, I didn't think of that, or I wouldn't have thought that blank. It doesn't mean that like an event didn't happen. You know what I mean? So like, it's cool that all you're doing is you're truncating that lyric and you're just not finishing yet. You're just saying it never occurred. It never occurred to me. That could have just been a lyrical pattern. But by doing that, you're offering the listener potentially two different statements. You know what I mean?
Unintentionally so, but I think that's so cool.
Yeah, like it never occurred. Like, talk about that concept of fantasy. Like, I mean, again, Alice in Wonderland. It's like, right. I always feel like there's a slight kind of, maybe not so slight. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know how intense it is, but it's like, always feels a little bit like, is this actually, did it happen?
Right.
Is it a dream? Is this movie about like a true fantasy world that has been visited? Or is it not? You know what I mean? And I think that's the whole point when we're dealing with fantasy and reality and different types of art, is like the existing fantasy should be challenging your awareness of whether it's real or not.
Yeah.
Because that's like what makes it evocative and fantastical.
Yeah. I'm thinking now Wizard of Oz too.
Wizard of Oz.
It's the same
100%.
Exact thing.
Exactly.
Wow. Bookends in black and white, color in the middle.
Yes. Oh my God. That's a great point, especially because of how like old and romantic sounding the beginning and end are in some ways. Like they're not sonically produced that way, but man, maybe that was a missed opportunity. Maybe we could have gone further down into like the that Emily King style kind of thing that we ended up doing. In Bird in a Cage, was it? Or
Light On.
That's right, Light On. Interesting.
Yeah, I really like that Wizard of Oz though.
Yeah.
That's cool. Keeping that in my pocket.
Yeah.
We'll have like a 20-year reunion episode and
be like,
talk
I
about
learned these 50 new things.
Or maybe we can redo it. Maybe we can redo the album. Maybe 20 years will be enough time.
Incubus is doing that right now. They're redoing one of their best-selling albums of all time. They're literally like re-recording it. I haven't got a chance to listen to it. They just released a song off of it.
Yeah. And then we have a major change. And we have a major change when the drums and the bass enter.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very, very intentionally composed. Insanely intentional. Like, I worked with Ivo, a friend of mine in France, who's an amazing guitar player, amazing bassist. And we had a very choppy Zoom meeting for hours where we're just like, what if it was this though? What about this bass note? You know, just like very detail oriented work. And then when I went to record the drums, I remember it took me a lot of takes to like really get to the essence of like the exactitudes, because those little details, it's like it was almost like this fantasy world, right? I feel like in film and other examples of fantasy, it's like it has to be on a kind of a pedestal. It's like you're like, ooh, you know, it's like, so it's kind of this, it's like the focus is turned up, and it's like it has to be kind of almost too precise.
Well,
you know
it has
what I mean?
to be
Too good to be true in a way.
It has to be so in line with what you're trying to create. You know, what is the word for, like, I'm thinking of that example where you can see a Starbucks cup on a table in an episode of Game of Thrones. There's an actual word for when something of a time period
is wrong.
Is just so.
There's a word for it.
I think so.
ChatGPT would know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But it's almost that same thing. Like, if you have something happening in the music that you're trying so hard to create this space, this new land. If something happens that's drawing upon the wrong things, it can totally...
That's a really good example, actually.
Yeah.
It's a good explanation of why that's so important.
I remember that second chorus, the extended chorus, and I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but just we're here now, but like that was particularly hard for you to execute. Yeah. Not because you can't drum, but just because it's like, what idea should we go for? And I was kind of, what I was saying, wanted to draw upon more of this like gospel style playing. And that's, you know, again, where an artist kind of has some limitations sometimes. First of all, I'm not a drummer, so I don't have the language for that. Second of all, I'm just trying my best to use the words and ideas that I have to convey what's in my mind. Now, will I say what's on the recording was exactly it, right? But I was explaining it in this weird way. So then you were kind of going for it, and then it was just like, no, it was shattering the whole glass castle that was this fantasy land, because the wrong type of stuff was now involved. There was a Starbucks cup on the table of the Game of Thrones episode. You know?
Yes. No, I think that's a great example of why having intentionality is so important, because it's like, what is the musical equivalent of that Starbucks cup being like, this is a TV show. Is this what I'm saying with Christopher Nolan? Like, oh, I'm watching a TV show right now. You know, it's like you don't want to be faced with that. You want to immerse yourself in that environment and be so unbelievably convinced that is like, that this is this programmatic, you know, narrative place that you've entered.
Yeah.
And I think that for this song in particular, it just, that bass and the drums, they just had to be so just perfectly in line with each other, just characterized in a way that is just super cohesive.
And it is perfect. And for how much you're talking about, like how challenging it was to get, I wasn't really involved in those conversations. I was at the session and stuff, but you had already kind of defined your drum, or no, you fully comped your drum part before we reached out to Evo and you talked to him. It sounds like you were in the same room and it just happened for how natural and like effortless.
Yeah, I actually can't. For some reason, I thought we did do the bass first.
No.
Was it drums first?
No, we fully comped your drum take and then
we sent it off. Whatever it was, they were very integrated. Like the conversations, or like every single time there is or isn't kick drum, or the hi-hat is open that much, or the snare is there and it's not there, or it's rim click here and it's not, like every single one of those decisions were extremely intentional.
Every embellishment.
Every
like smallest bend that you can ever hear of the string. Like, oh my God, did we come through this?
Yeah, like little things. Oh no, don't do that. Just a half step and like here. And that, right, it's those little things, and a lot of people I look up to, they take the time to care about those things. So I just like I choose to do that as well.
Yeah. Another interesting thing that kind of just struck me too is the fact that the next thing that we hear after voice, Rhodes, and string is this bass and drum texture, which is another grounding element. Into
it is
Fanus.
Very ground. Yeah,
you know what I mean. You're not hearing some more unsure, ethereal
it's not Candle
stuff.
Improvisation either. It's not just like completely open ended. It's like fairly straightforward. And even though it is intentional and composed and nuanced, it is fairly straightforward.
It is like, we are here and this is right and correct in the way that things are supposed to be.
Yeah, bump bum. It's like, here's this rhythm.
It's almost like every time you hear a bump bump, which happens, it's like you look in another direction and you're seeing more to the world that you've never seen before. And it's more elaborate and better than he could have ever imagined. I'm an idiot. But then we get strings. And that was all you.
The strings on this or
pretty
that
much.
part? Really?
Yeah. Pretty much. I feel like I did some...
This was just like a straight up composed counter melody in unisons. Again, like Candle.
Yeah.
We're coming from this octave unison place.
Yeah.
But now we're doing it up sort of in the higher register of each of the string instruments, which really draws our attention to the strings too, because the vocals finally leave and our texture, it's like kind of settling, and this melody is going to come back later. So it's one of our first kind of straightforward moments that this melody is like, here it is, so we can internalize it and kind of settle into it a little bit, so that way when it comes later, again, as we were talking before, we'll be like, this is familiar, but I don't know, because it'll be in the piano. It'll sound different, but it'll be in the piano, and there'll be more development to be done on this melody.
Yeah, do you want to play that for us?
Yeah, let's see here.
So you're saying the do 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 is like very pre-chorus.
Absolutely.
Melody.
Yeah, pre-chorus or is it pre-chorus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I should.
Yeah, and I'm saying that the verse melody is like the rhapsody at the end in the piano.
Oh, yeah.
Bum, 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 bum,
right.
Bum. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, we're foreshadowing that, and that'll come back. I mean, that melody comes back too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the bass starts to have a little bit more to say here too in this break, and because before the bass was mainly just doing these hits that are very straightforward, right? Right, and there's a little bit of a transition into this. starts the same way the verse would start, but then after the second one, it departs. Grabbing onto the strings. Right, so it's like our personality is slightly changing there, and then we're going to end up going back to the same sort of just bum bum with spaces. Again, all this being super intentional and decided ahead of time. So then the strings come back to this counter melody that they had in the first one. Let's actually just play that verse, the beginning of verse 1 counter melody, so we can hear that really distinctly in the strings. And just hear that slight difference in color.
So many tracks.
So many tracks. Such a simple melody, right? And then it comes back like this after when the vocals come back in. Sorry, I just had to listen to that. I love the sound of that. Okay, cool. Pre-chorus, and then which we lead to the pre-chorus, right? That last verse, it's just a restatement after this departure of a lot of things, just to kind of bring us back before we really get into a very short chorus again, very short moment in relation to everything else. What's interesting about this pre-chorus too, just to kind of bookend, that's one thing I think really interesting about pre-choruses is that they offer opportunity for textural. Suddenly just doing something kind of texturally like whatever you want, because you're usually pre-choruses aren't that long, right? So you're like, oh, I'm about to go to the important thing, so let me completely just change your perspective for a second, so that way when I bring you to the chorus, that feels like more of an arrival, as opposed to just let me continue on the verse feel and then hit the chorus. It might not hit as hard, right? Or if I go to the chorus feel too early, then the arrival of the chorus might not hit hard for the same reason. You think about echoes, right? Like the pre-chorus is like its own thing. It's this one of a kind, right? In relation to the chorus. So I think that the halftime feel that we get in the pre-chorus, whereas the verse, right? We have this feel in the verse. I'm noticing now. More driving quarter notes. Right? Pre-chorus turns into this halftime feel. And then it's gestural. Yeah. So I think that, it's actually almost as if the chorus is it's like a final period on the end of the sentence of what's come since the first verse.
Yeah.
It's like we call it a chorus because it's a dynamic arrival and it has like an important lyric behind it. But in a sense, it's not really a chorus when we think about like formally. It's more just the end of the large phrase that is what the song has been so far.
Right.
And I think it's a realization that pre-chorus is a preparatory phrase and then chorus is like, which is why I think also I was really, really adamant about the drums being gestural here.
Yeah.
Being like not really being boom, got boom, got boom, boom. It's like, no, it's like, it's just one boom, ba, boom, 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 it's like one statement. So that way it feels like that, like this giant period that's just like, now this is done. Let's move on to the next sentence,
Yeah. Because we do want to not acknowledge that sentence. You know what I mean? This is the one moment of the song where we are trying to be honest with ourselves. It's this willing to face what may come has the double entendre. It could be willing to face what may come if we stay together forever and just life throws its challenges at our way. Or, acknowledging that. So this is the closest that we look into reality when we're in this part of the song. And, you know, a chorus is there to drive home the main concept of a song. Except for we don't love this one. We don't want it. We want to get away as soon as possible. We've acknowledged it. Okay, but back to Fantasyland. And then this like post-chorus thing is super, super trippy.
Yeah, very fantastic with the triplets and the piano and 100%.
Yeah, and
the bass is really like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like grandiose.
Very grandiose.
It's like you're drunk and in
We totally
Fantasyland.
added this, I think, right? This section.
Well, no, that section was there.
The triplets were there?
No,
Right.
I weirdly decided to do that.
So
and I thought you were going to hate it because, again, for me, it felt like tropey and over the top.
Again, it's a moment where we need it, kind of.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking at the time, of course, in this context of like, well, we just had the most reality-filled moment, so let's counter it with this weird, just like, it's like indulgent almost. Like we're already being indulgent. And I think that's what I was relating to. Is like, this feels like overly indulgent to just, you know, come on, like 3 Against 2, like weird stuff, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, but for me, it feels, the triplets don't feel so much more like 3 Against 2. They feel just more like a gesture that's broken out of the duple place that we've been existing in, right? The sort of square place we've been existing. It suddenly feels like the roundness of the triplets emphasizes the double time that we felt in the pre-chorus.
True.
3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And we really feel that, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's the melody again, right?
Right.
Now we're back in that square place in this next verse, right?
Totally.
It really helps us kind of depart. So again, we can come back to something. You know, these transitional sections, sometimes they're often I feel like when a lot of people think of transitions, it's like, how do I get from here to here? Meaning musically, like I need to start here and end here, which sometimes is the answer.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes transitions actually work really well, being like, how can I start? I can just start here, and then I can just go way the hell over here. So when I come back here, it's an important moment.
Totally.
Like transitions can be the opposite of what I think people sometimes think.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, it has to be exactly the connecting dot. Well, it could be just the opposite of that. And I think this is a partial example of that.
Yeah, you're so right. The only other notable thing about this transition section between the chorus and the verse is that for the first time since the introduction, we have piano enter. And
it draws attention to itself with the triplets too.
Totally. So it's like we just had this moment of awareness of coming back to reality. That reality is probably still with us in this transition, but again, it's like we're trying so hard to get rid of it.
Yeah. Cognitive dissonance. It's such an important thing. I have a friend who's really deep, has deep interest in like philosophy and psychology, and is a business coach and like all that. And he talks all the time about how cognitive dissonance is just a sign that, you know, you have something that you need to. There's actually something. It's not just like I feel uncomfortable. It's like it's actually directly correlated probably to a specific thing that you need to address.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And that's perfect. I mean, it's just like the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
One more thing I want to really highlight about this interlude is just this really interesting, subtle thing that, you know, you may not hear in the grand scheme of things, but I'm going to just solo this bass out for this interlude here. Now you hear the bending, it's like kind of drunk and kind of like, whoa, you know, it's almost like a fun house, like it's like warping a little bit. And the bass sound that I got from Evo 2 is like very thick and compressed, and it's like kind of like intense, you know. So in the context of everything, right? And it follows the harmony too, right? It follows some of that. It's like that diminished harmony there. Beep, bum, 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 right? And it's following some of that too, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah.
This moment at the top of the second verse is one of my favorite production moments on the record. There's just like, it's simple, but it has a cleanliness. It has an evocativeness, and the way this second verse starts, the the first 4 bars of this verse. There's so many little things that just like step in and then step in and then step in and step in, step in. It's just this aggregate kind of entrance of things. And I just love it. And the crispness of the hi-hat cut and the way that the groove takes us, but it's not on the downbeat again. It's reminding us of something like from, was it Candle, right? Mm-hmm. Where not a lot of downbeats of phrasing, right? With delaying these arrivals, and it has such a powerful kind of attack, and it feels reinvigorated, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, the reality piano just tried to pull us back, this romantic, luscious like it's kind of fighting against the kind of square, focused, pristine ooh-ah-ness of the fantasy world. It's like, it feels like it's like, oh, it's got to pull us in, and it's got to be like, here's the thing, oh yes, and here's this, and here's this, and here's this. And it really feels to me like it's this like the fantasy realm has this like a sentient kind of, aspect to it, which is, again, I keep thinking of like Alice in Wonderland, or in a way like Wizard of Oz,
or like Enchanted Forest, where the trees are
exactly,
everything has the same motive.
Yes, right, yeah, and it's 100% feels that way to me. And then the groove that comes in is an extrapolation of this simple bum bum, that came from the first verse. Now there's bass statements that are very responsive to the vocal, again, very intentionally composed to pull away from the vocal, support the strings, fit in the spaces, and the drum groove is following that very distinctly. So like, let me solo out drums, bass, vocals, and strings.
I wanna be still. I wanna be still in June. You steal a glance or two. Our bodies will attune, and it feels so good. Oh, how could it be? Oh, how could it be this way? My barriers decay while in your arms I stay, and I think I should.
Right, so it really is like the vocal and the bass more than the strings are more textural, but you can see that the strings are responding too, but the bass is so deeply integrated to the vocal. The rhythm, it's just so importantly entwined. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great stuff on this.
Yeah, there really is. I like the ear candy element.
Oh, so much ear candy in this.
And also going back to our synthetic versus natural kind of progression throughout the album, you can hear in these fun little ear candy moments that they are more on the synthetic side.
Yeah.
And that's intentional.
Yeah. And what's great about that is that's the stuff that's happening opposite of everything I just showed you, right? So that stuff is grounded and it's really holding us down.
Yeah.
Right. But then there's these other elements that are really kind of bringing us into a different world a little bit. And there's not that many things, but it really helps us feel that way.
Yeah. Some piano.
Really reverby and affected, and it's super simple, and it's doubling the string melody.
Right. We could almost argue, with the presence of the piano there, that it's reality almost seems like a distant memory. Is reality 100%. Even the real thing anymore?
Yes. What's real? That's what I was saying about fantasy world,
right.
Trying to convince you. I even wrote in some of my notes when we were preparing for this, the Mad Hatter, the Cheshire Cat, right? Back to these Alice in Wonderland things. It's these are all different characters, all different beings in this fantasy world, just being yes, isn't this so wonderful?
Yeah.
And they're so enticing for some reason. Yeah. They feel that way to me too, musically, sonically.
Yeah, it's we're truly convinced right now.
Truly convinced.
Super convinced.
This is the most realized fantasy world that we'll probably experience, really. Is this whole long verse.
Yeah. And then we get back to the pre-chorus.
Yeah, now with more energy, more drama, right? A little bit more like the cello melody. I love this cello melody, right?
Let's hear.
What's it mimicking there? It's it's with your vocal, right? I'll play these together.
Think I should let you in, bold, unafraid, with a heart unhinged and willing to face what may come,
Right, I mean, going back to those single pitches at the end of the chorus.
That
but
is
you
the
can
tunnel.
you can see, right, like that really dramatic. Again, it's like these romantic elements, these like classical music elements that are just like yes. You know, it's like again, fantasy and reality. They're in opposition, and like which one is which? I don't know. Maybe it's up to the listener too to kind of determine what they think.
Yeah.
So sometimes.
Yeah. So this chorus is elongated, which is interesting with it being on this sentiment of like the full crux of the duality, right? It's the total halfway point. So it feels to me like a final plea to hang on to Fantasyland, but it doesn't work.
Yeah,
like we heard, we're drawn back through the Coraline Tunnel, or out the rabbit hole, or back to Kansas,
right,
by those strings at the end that then take us to the outro. So
Black and
but
white.
you know, but it's that tug, it's that final fight that, you know, the character ends up losing. But I think that's super sick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that also this chorus repeating, you know, I think that you mentioned before this sort of like gospel style drums thing that you were like looking for. I think that again, to bring that back, because you kind of commented on earlier, just like clear enough, but it's like there's an intensity there. There's like when someone's like, no, but this, like that kind of thing of like repetition, where you're like really just like, wait, no, come back. You know, like you say it a few times and it gets more intense as you say it. That's kind of the idea here. It's like the drums have to terrace, the strings have to grow, everything has to move so we can land. And as the tempo drops into the outro section, we feel that true sense of arrival after being pushed forward. Right. And we feel the emotional weight as we listeners, like we can feel that kind of being propelled at such a hard, in such a sort of intense way.
Yeah. So then we get to it.
We get to
the ever so
the low C on the bass too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, true.
Boom.
Yeah.
So fat.
As much as we just said that this feels like a fight to kind of cling to the fantasy world, it's interesting that everything kind of dies off and there's this nice ritardando, and it's almost like we're set back into it. Like it wasn't a slam in the face like one might expect. So I kind of like that, but it's almost like we're in this new territory. Maybe you're right on the cusp of the two or something. It's not like you end up back where you started. It's almost this new land. I don't know, but it's interesting because it feels really new to me, even though we've had these textures before. We've had strings, we've had the like music box sounding Rhodes thing, we've had piano, but for some reason it still feels super different. And maybe it's because we did play with the time, or
there's
something.
A key center change, right?
Yeah, it's stuff that we've heard before, but it's presented in a different way.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we start on this crazy journey, and this was awesome because not only did I get to go back to the whole like let's pay homage to where the song kind of came from, but it was such a fun compositional challenge because I knew that I wanted it to represent the idea of this fantasy world falling apart. So maybe it's like on the outskirts if we're thinking of some simulation, and like it's like you're there, everything looks normal, wait, then the sky glitches in the form of a square.
Yeah,
but then it kind of
you
pops back
mentioned
up.
Truman Show earlier.
Yeah, and then things keep on going, and then it's like, well, wait, why did those trees just disappear?
Yeah.
And then you keep going, and you're like, well, maybe I was making that up. It's this slow, like, it's you're convincing yourself in a different way.
I think it's the true sense of like, because we've been talking about the piano as the
Yeah.
reality instrument, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is the piano is the leader of this section.
Yeah.
But I think the point of why we start with the music box, which has been a key ingredient in the verses, doubling the piano precisely, and coming from this very kind of esoteric place that's a little bit more energized than the intro.
Yeah.
Is it's like the piano here that was reality is now reality in the our fantasy world has morphed into being
Sure.
our perception of reality.
Yeah.
And the fantasy world falling apart is now
Yeah.
this piano falling apart, and realizing that it's actually the piano, which was supposed to be the reality thing in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like,
Yeah, it's like both. It's everything
it's
falling
always
apart.
this back and forth, right? It's
Yeah.
just like we don't know the difference between reality and fantasy ever. Mm-hmm. So it's all just our whole existence is falling apart because we don't know
Right.
what is up, what's down, left, right, what's real, what's not. Because it's like, so it you could take it on one side as potentially being, it's almost like convoluted intentionally.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, what the hell is the deal? Like, I don't know if I understand what's fantasy and reality. Mm-hmm. Is it this or is it that? Like, well, that's the point.
It is the point. It's
Yeah.
totally the point. It's totally the point. It's like when you learn something about yourself, whether it be like you have some sort of diagnosis or the way that you've been living is like not right, even though that it's like your whole world is shaken.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not this reliable fantasy land. We tried that. Clearly that's not working. And now reality isn't even reliable. And that's totally what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we start changing in this descending fashion down this like major third. So we start with B flat, and then we change to G flat, and then we go to D, and then it happens. And every time we kind of enter a new key center, we devolve more. Things fall apart more. And once it kind of starts happening, we just really unravel. Mm-hmm. And it goes,
more
goes,
dissonance, faster tempo.
Yeah.
More bombastic dynamic is increasing, more motion, more rhythm.
Yeah. Especially in the piano part. Like, I wrote the piano part first, and that was fully composed, fully performed before we added any strings to it. I think the strings, they're obviously like perfect and I wouldn't change them. However, it's almost like you can kind of miss the deconstruction of the piano part because we have the familiarity piece, which is these melodies that we've heard this whole time. Now we're hearing them in a new way and it's whatever, but maybe we could play at least like a little portion of the piano part just soloed out without the strings.
Yeah, totally.
So that you can kind of hear how like one thing happens and then we want to convince ourselves that it's not true. And then it just just unfolds from there.
Yeah, I think part of the strings existence is for volume and texture, and also there's a re-listenability and like diving deeper into the piano part and things that I think is really potent. Again, that sort of jazz moment getting into this classical moment.
Normal. We've been here before. See, it's nice.
It's a little bit quicker though, a little bit like more motion, it feels like. Minor second.
Again.
Interesting.
Pick it
slightly
up,
different.
ba-da-da-do. Yeah, it's mostly
And
until we
willing
are
to change.
Yeah, everything leading up until when we kind of get this like very pre-chorusy harmony. It's interesting. You can hear how I think you can just hear a lot more clearly what's really going on without the strings, although the strings are so necessary.
The constant battle.
Mm-hmm. You know, and that last line that it leaves you off of, the last melodic line, is the da 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 da.
Yeah.
Is and willing to face, and then it's just a total cliffhanger
From the pre-chorus.
Yeah.
Because that's what the chorus is, and willing to face. The chorus, what may come, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's now left off.
Yeah.
So if we think about the lyric, yeah, that's derived from.
Yeah. You know, and like, there's no better way to kind of leave off this chapter 1 than on a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Willing to face. Also, it's almost like a statement too. It's almost as like maybe you are willing to face.
Mm-hmm.
It's like perfect cliffhanger. This whole time it's like in fantasy world, and it's like, wait, maybe this bombastic devolving of this world is just like, wait, maybe I'm capable of something. You know, maybe I'm capable of that. It's like a little question mark, maybe.
Yeah, this is just kind of striking me now, but sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
It's not about being willing or unwilling at all.
We're about to get there with Salt with the next track.
Exactly.
There's a truth to that tune.
Right. You don't always get the privilege of, well, do I want to step up to the plate or do I not want to step up to the plate?
About
Sometimes
privilege.
you just have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and maybe, you know, in relationships, or like chosen romantic relationships, you have the choice, but often in other scenarios, you just don't, you know? I will say something notable too is, do you just remember the string session for this song? Do you remember thinking, I remember thinking like, this is going to be a disaster because the tempo changes. This is so complicated, you know, oh my gosh, this is just, how are we even going to break this up into sections to kind of like chunk it out? And the string players that we had that day did it in what, like two takes?
Yeah. I mean,
like two.
They, you know, they were classical players. They knew. It
was insane.
You know, and like, it's all tempo mapped, so I was conducting the whole thing. Right. So I had the energy of the motion and what needed to move when and go where at what time.
Yeah.
And that, I think we needed that unhinged feeling. And I think that, you know, we went there. We went there quick. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest thing too with this ending that we didn't really mention. It's just like, I specifically told you, I was like, go deep into your classical roots. Just like harness the power of like what you have won piano competitions with and like all that other shit. Like, just be that version of yourself, because that is part of who you are. And I didn't think it was being represented anywhere on the record. And I thought, like, what a perfect location.
Right.
You know, and I think you had already definitely made the intro. It's like already kind of relative. And it's like, you're clearly touching on this classical thing. Like, do this, you know, 20th century / romantic kind of thing where you're like slamming your fist on the low register keys and, you know, doing the offset boom, you know, this like very classical approach to playing piano, just unabashedly.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was so important to have a moment like that, celebrating that about your genome, your piano background.
Yeah. I'm glad that it came up in a natural way. Mm-hmm. Too, because you can't force that.
Yeah,
I can't just be like, hey, can I put this like giant classical cadenza on the end of a song if it doesn't make sense? So of course it made sense though. Yeah.
Also, I think that that Liszt, Chopin, Rachmaninoff, whatever classical composer you're into, like, it has such insane power. Like, especially like Rachmaninoff, that Russian piano energy is just like so unbelievably intense. It's just like heavy metal on piano.
Yeah.
And that, it's weird. It's almost as if it's like this just piano and strings is like more intense than anything we've heard yet.
Absolutely.
And it's just a couple instruments, right? And you mentioned how like sometimes the nuances of the piano aren't necessarily heard with the strings, and I think that's kind of like there's an authenticity to that in a way too.
Yeah.
There's like you know, a pianist is just on stage with an orchestra, and there's a stage there, and it's like you just get that organic outcome, and you've got humans who have to balance with each other. And so I think I remember specifically mixing this session, like not trying to add as much compression and other things to it in some ways to make sure it maintained some level of dynamism that was, that is more classical, while, it has to be somewhat that way. So you're not turning up and down the volume knob like you would with a lot of classical recordings.
Yeah.
But there is the level of like, and the piano is very affected. It is supposed to be, still put on a pedestal of an aesthetic.
Right.
But it is kind of interesting to think about, maybe a different happy medium could have been found, or other lines mimicking things. And it's interesting to still think about opportunities of growth. And when you hone in on these little details, it just goes to show just how many things we're paying attention to, and how many things that we tried to catch or maybe didn't. And I think that that's also really like a really important thing to kind of learn too. It's just like all the things that still could be done, and we just like swallowed it and was like, let's just be done with this now. Like, it's time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Now that I think about it, the last like big classical piano piece that I played was this Liszt etude in college. I think it was an F minor. And funny enough, that was like one of the first times that it was my friend Simon. We made this giant elaborate story.
Oh, I love that.
And put it together with this like such the drama. I actually ran into one of my old college professors, and he told me, he's like, Cassidy, you would never believe it. I was just talking to a student a few weeks ago, and they're playing that piece, and I told them that whole story, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even remember that story.
Oh my
like,
God.
I remember some of it. No, it was Dr. Klefstedt.
Oh, Klefstedt.
Yeah,
okay.
But how funny is that? Gosh,
so
these composers are very, very, very influential. Emotional boys, emotional men they were. Chopin cracks me up, honestly. There's this quote from him that it's like, I tell the piano things that I used to tell you. And I'm just like, oh my God.
What a French little bastard he is, huh?
But yes, oh, so romantic.
Absolutely.
Fitting for a love song, not love song, hey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it is a cliffhanger. What is going to happen next? We don't know. Stay tuned. But I think we can go on and talk about our threads.
Our threads.
So narrator versus codependency thread is codependency attacks.
Yeah, I remember saying they were the enemy. They were the potential enemy.
First strike.
It seems that this is the enemy striking.
Yeah. And guess who loses? Narrator.
Right.
We consciously give in to codependency. It's like, you won that battle. There you go. I'm defeated. And then in regards to the change thread, codependency causes us to completely avoid and reject change.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what codependency does.
Yeah.
That's like what codependency wants.
That's all it wants.
It's just don't change, because if you change, then this connection is going to be broken. Mm-hmm. And I'm reliant on that connection.
Yeah. And still no tools. Mm-hmm. We have nothing to fight it
Nothing to fight it. No hope.
And we're broken.
Everything's falling apart.
Everything is falling apart.
Yeah. Reality
and our magical little make-believe land. Mm-hmm. We have nothing. Sad. So what is our takeaway? Takeaway time.
Well, I think I talked about this a little earlier. We noticed that one thing with this song is like, the role of a producer with how this, when we were talking about how this song was started so differently, right? And when it came to us, or came to me from you, you just were like, no, this is not it. This is not what I'm trying to say, right? So like, what is the role of producer? Like, how do we highlight the needs and the intention, and just, put the voice of the artist, on the platform that it deserves to be on, and that it needs to be on to be right? And then how do we also make sure, okay, some of our own voice is going to come out. So how do we, manage that, temper that when we need to? I think, did we play a little bit of the outro of Willing before?
No, we just referenced
Should we play a little bit of that now that we've heard the piano? Not? Right? Like, just like
so
how different it is, right?
You're going to laugh. I hope you laugh. Like, cool.
It's a cool groove.
Cool.
Also the tempo, right? It's
pretty wild.
Right, I'm just going to skip to the end real quick.
What?
That's it, right? That's just like, it's very cool, but it's as far as like being,
I was so unheard.
Tempo.
Oh my gosh.
It's just a little too.
Dooby dooby doo.
Finally, you've been right next to me.
Right? Hear the words? They feel like they don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's another funny thing too. In that, instead of it being, it's all over A flat, which makes it a whole different chord.
Oh. Right, which makes it feel more like jazz.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
different. Yuck.
Yeah, so it's just a different feel. It's not a bad feel. It's not it just, this is the thing is Cassidy comes to me and is like, this isn't right. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
That's
like, what
pretty
are you
much it.
supposed to do with that?
So then I have to be like, okay.
well, what was the origin of the song?
Why and what does it mean and what
Yeah.
are you trying to say? Like I have to get into Cassidy's brain and what she's actually trying to say with the song so I can actually know what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
So I can help manifest it because like she's not coming to me because she has the full skill set to do that herself and she shouldn't need to. Like you are the artist. You should be creating the epicenter and the soul of what's happening and the meaning and the lyrics and like what everything else will be pulled from.
Right.
And that includes the physical content, the piano part, the vocals, the lyrics, and the shit that you aren't articulating in those things very clearly, which is like what it means to you and why this is this way and what it's relating to and the story it's telling and all these other things. And I think, again, the producer's role is to get everything it possibly can out of all of the people involved on the project, right?
Yeah.
So that way it manifests into one ending kind of piece of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think that you maybe talk about it a little bit too casually.
What do you mean?
When I was first trying to describe working with you as compared to like my previous experiences, maybe I'm just a drama queen, but I was like,
Probably.
whatever. I was like, Aaron literally cast a fishing line into like the depths of my soul.
That's what it is,
and
though.
like ever so carefully, there was the idea somewhere swimming around in me. I didn't even know where it was, but it's like
It's a cool analogy.
yeah, that's what you said the first time I told you.
Oh, really? I forget everything.
Forgot, man.
I forget everything.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's what it is. It's like cast this line into like the deepest depths of someone and then try to pull out the right stuff. It takes a lot. So I don't want you to just be like, and you should just do that, because you talk like that and it sounds like that, but it's like, it doesn't just happen. And it doesn't just happen because you have the intention for it to happen. It happens because you make the decision to make it happen over and over and over and over and over again. And you have integrity and dedication.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think
I could cry.
I think it's really important to do that. Again, it's like I'm obligated to do that, right?
Well,
it's like
that's 'cause you're great, though.
a director of a film is like, they need to get everything they possibly can out of everyone on the camera.
A great director.
Every director should be doing that.
Correct.
Yeah,
But they don't.
Well, I guess that's, yeah.
And it's not easy. So I'm
It
just
is hard.
trying to
I mean,
give you some flowers.
I get the people to listen and they might, I'm trying to be modest.
Don't be modest.
No, I appreciate that. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope that all the artists that I work with feel that way, because if they feel that way, then that actually means that their artistic goal was met. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Correct.
that's why, like when you talk about like feeling emotional about it,
Mhm.
like it's really because, in my opinion, it's because your own emotions and opinions and artistic intent was truly represented
And brought to fruition,
and
yeah.
brought to fruition. I think like that's, if you're having that emotional relationship to the moment, that's a success. That means it's like, okay, it's profound. It has become a profound exemplification of something. And how are you supposed to get to that? You can't just guess as a producer. You can't just like try something. You can, but like, that's almost like going to take so much more effort. Like, do the homework, do the heavy lifting. Like,
Right.
making art is not just this fluffy thing that's like, yeah, just express yourself. Yes, that is one huge part of art.
Yeah.
Like, also, art is hard work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of hashing things out. The fishing analogy is great because you think it's like a big ass fish, and you're like,
Yeah.
you're grappling with this fishing rod, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna get this damn thing.
Takes a lot of work.
And it does. It takes time
Right.
and effort, which is why we had put so many GD hours into this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we are.
For sure.
Talking about it.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's just, you have the instinct, you have the subconscious, it's there. We just have to get to it.
Yeah.
You know, that's all.
Yeah.
Let's break it down.
Heck yeah. Well, that's it for chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Bye, chapter 1.
Bye-bye. Now we're going to enter our side quest. We're taking a pause from the main quest to enter a tiny little side quest, right?
Tiny little side quest where we get
some important shit. We learn some important shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to learn the things that we need to learn. Our narrator or our character is going to learn the things that they need to learn, potentially to apply to all of this codependency nonsense that's been happening.
To the main storyline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, see you guys there.
See you there.